Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Pranams. Hari Bol.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
your voice also is clear. Hari Bol. The only three of us right now. Previous others devotees will join.
Yes,
But I think in the interest of time, I think we should get started, right? We will do that
yes,
just 1 minute, Prabhu.
yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. You're already the co-host. Wonderful. Okay, Prabhu. Prabhu, you can get started. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya on a Saturday morning. Today we have the privilege of having His Grace Haridev Krishna Prabhu. He'll be covering in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, verses 37 to 39. Prabhu, over to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Please begin with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Ubirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nandagopakumaraaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, uh, seeking blessings of the devotees assembled here before we begin. So, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, first chapter. Chapter is entitled History of the Life of Ajamila. Text 37, 38, and 39. So, text 37. Sri Shuka Uvacha इत्युक्ते यमदूतैस्ते वासुदेवोक्तकारिणः तान् प्रत्युचुः प्रहस्येदं मेघ निह्रादया गिरा श्रीशुक उवाच इत्युक्ते यमदूतैस्ते वासुदेवोक्तकारिणः तान् प्रत्युचुः प्रहस्येदं मेघनिह्रादया गिरा श्रीशुक उवाच इत्युक्ते यमदूतैस्ते वासुदेवोक्तकारिणः तान् प्रत्युचुः प्रहस्येदं मेघनिह्रादया गिरा. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Iti, thus, Ukte, being addressed, Yamadutai, by the messengers of Yamaraj, Te, they, Vasudeva Ukta Karinaha, who are always ready to execute the orders of Lord Vasudeva, being personal associates of Lord Vishnu, who have obtained the liberation of Salokya. Tan, unto them, Pratyuchuhu, replied, Prahasya, smiling, Idam, this, Mega Nihradaya, resounding like a rumbling cloud, Gira, with voices. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, being thus addressed by the messengers of Yamaraja, the servants of Vasudeva smiled and spoke the following words in voices as deep as the sound of rumbling clouds. Purport. The Yamadutas were surprised to see that the Vishnudutas, although polite, were hindering the rule of Yamaraj. Similarly, the Vishnudutas were also surprised that the Yamadutas, although claiming to be the servants of Yamaraja, the supreme judge of religious principles, were unaware of principles of religious action. Thus, the Vishnudutas smiled, thinking, what is this nonsense they are speaking? If they are actually servants of Yamaraja, they should know that Ajamila is not a suitable candidate for them to carry off. We'll begin with prayers, then we'll recite and discuss the other two shlokas also. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्यति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरवतुषे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So I seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees before we begin discussing on this verse, set of three verses. So the background here is that Ajamila calls out for his son Narayana in a helpless state with tears in his eyes at the time of death when he sees Yamadutas and immediately when the Yamadutas are about to snatch the soul away, it is said when they were about to do that, actually at that time Vishnu Dutas appeared and they prevented Yamadutas from discharging their duties. And the previous shlokas mein, Yamadutas very politely addressed the Vishnu Dutas. Uh, you look very beautiful, gentle. Why is it that you are stopping us in executing the duties like that? And in response to the questions posed by Yamadutas, now the Vishnu Dutas response and in terms of their behavior and in terms of the further uh, responses that they're going to give is seen in the next two, three shlokas. So here uh, we are actually very blessed because Srila Prabhupada has spoken on each of in the whole chapter, sixth canto, first chapter, almost every shloka Prabhupada has given at least minimum of 2 to 3 lectures. So it's very amazing if we hear them. Uh, I share some points from whatever I jotted down from Prabhupada's lectures also. So here what we can see is both of them are servants of their respective masters. Yamadutas were servants or order carriers of Yamaraj and Vasudeva Ukta Karinaha. So Vishnudutas are given a name Vasudeva Ukta Karinaha, who are always ready to execute the orders of the Lord Vasudev. So this is the qualification of a servant or a disciple. Whenever the uh, master gives an instruction, he's immediately ready to execute it. So both were ready to execute, but Vishnu Dutas were surprised that Yamadutas were unaware of the principles of Dharma, being servants of Yamaraj, like that. So therefore they asked smilingly. Why were they smiling? Because uh, Prabhupada says in one of the lectures that they were very clear that we have come for the right cause. We know what is the duty we are supposed to perform here. But they were speaking something nonsense, as you can see in the purport. So in the lecture, Prabhupada is sharing so nicely here. I'll show you so many points Prabhupada is speaking. First, Prabhupada is speaking on how a healthy argument can be. So the argument between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas was a very pleasing, healthy argument. Why? Because the words exchanged were polite. Yamadutas politely addressed Vishnudutas. So the argument was um, a healthy argument. And here Prabhupada has, in many of these lectures, Prabhupada is saying how the disciple must be very careful to understand the mission of his guru. So I was recollecting also one verse. Whenever a spiritual master says anything, disciple with folded hands should say Badam iti. That means, yes, sir, your order will be done, like that. So that is a qualification of a disciple. And there are three levels of disciples, the scriptures say. Uttamas chintitam kuryat, prokta karyecha madhyamaha, adamo akuryat, like that. So, Uttamas chintitam kuryat, the topmost disciple is one who understands the heart and the mind of the Guru, even though the Guru has not mentioned anything, like that. Uttamas chintitam kuryat. We can see how Lord Nityananda understood the heart of Mahaprabhu after he took sannyas. Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan, but Nityananda Prabhu understood that Mahaprabhu heart was that he wanted to give solace to all the Shantipur devotees, Navadvip devotees, Mayapur devotees. So he took him to Shantipur. So like that. Uttamas Chintitam Kuryat. Topmost servant, disciple, even before the spiritual master speaks, even his mind he can read. And accordingly, um, this one, please the spiritual master. Prokta karyecha madhyamaha. A second class disciple is one who, when the Guru says, I want you to do this, that time he understands, yes, now it is very clear, Guru is asking me to do, and he does it with full conviction. Prokta karyecha madhyamaha. Adamo akuryat. And Adama, or the lowest disciple, is akuryat. And he either does it with half-heartedness or no faith, or because he doesn't have faith, he thinks this is not so important, even if I neglect doing this, this is okay, like that. So it is important that we understand. Prabhupada was saying that just like Vishnu Dutas were asking, hey, you are all servants of Yamaraj, and you don't even know what are the principles of Dharma. How is it that you're posing yourself as servants of Yamaraj, like that? So, same way Prabhupada was saying in the lectures, anytime we go to preach Krishna conscious to others, we distribute books or anything, first they'll ask, do you know what is Krishna Bhakti? Do you know the principles of religion? If we ourselves are not well aware, then they will ask, you are telling your servants of Krishna, your followers of ISKCON, but you yourself are confused. So we have to uh, thoroughly understand the subject matter of Krishna consciousness, like that Prabhupada was mentioning repeatedly in many of these shlokas. And one more point Prabhupada was making is uh, just see, even the Yamadutas, they were so advanced that they also, I mean, Vishnudutas are questioning. I thought you know all the principles of Dharma, but there is some small discrepancy in your execution. Please uh, recheck, like that. That means Yamadutas were well aware of Dharmic principles. And Prabhupada was making a mockery of the current Kali Yuga, modern civilization. The Yamadutas themselves knew what is principles of Dharma, and here even the most uh, erudite scholars with big degrees don't know a simple definition of what is Dharma, what is Adharma. And Prabhupada says Dharma means surrender to Krishna, and Adharma means everything except this. That way. And here, one other point Prabhupada was mentioning. So just like how the Vishnu Dutas are smiling, same way Prabhupada is saying, why Vishnu Dutas are smiling? Because they're thinking what foolish questions these people are asking us, like that. So Prabhupada is saying this is our position also. Anyone who is preaching Krishna consciousness, many may protest against Krishna consciousness, but we'll simply smile. That's all. Because we know this is our duty. We simply smile that, oh, what are these nonsense things that they're speaking? We shall go on forward because we are carrying out the order of Krishna, and Krishna will protect us in all respects, like that. So Prabhupada is saying this in the lecture. So devotee also smiles when others ask questions, because devotee knows they're just following the orders of Krishna, and outsiders may not be able to initially appreciate it, Krishna consciousness. And another point Prabhupada is mentioning is Vasudeva Uktaha. That means whatever Vasudev has said or his representative has said, if we simply are prepared to carry out that orders, then our position is very, very secure, like that. So uh, these are few things from this shloka. A servant must know. We can see sometimes that the um, in the this one, what is that? Disciplic succession. Sometimes, uh, even in our own sampradaya, when the mind of Rupa Goswami was not understood by Jiva Goswami, actually, Jiva Goswami wanted to protect the integrity of Rupa Goswami and the status of Rupa Goswami. When that Digvijay Pandit Rup Narayan came for a debate, Rupa Goswami was not interested. He said, it's waste of time. I sign that you are the winner, like that. But Jiva Goswami wanted to make Rup Narayan understand that my spiritual master is very learned. Just out of not wanting to waste his time, he has submitted defeat. So he goes, and Rupa Goswami did not like it. So he punished Jiva Goswami. Although Jiva Goswami had good intentions, Rupa Goswami's mind was not understood. That itself, Jiva Goswami was given punishment. So, for us, many a times in all the lectures, sometimes devotees ask how to know what the spiritual master wants. Once one devotee was asking, I think His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, Maharaj, can you give some personal instruction? And then Maharaj said, last 1 hour, whenever whatever I was telling in the Bhagavatam class, they're all my personal instructions only, like that. So, how to know what the spiritual master wants is through the instructions, through the lectures. So, if we try to slowly implement whatever points are mentioned, then uh, we can please the spiritual master, like that. So we move to the next shloka. Yeah. 38th shloka. This is the first shloka where Vishnu Dutas are beginning to speak. Shri Vishnu Duta Uchuhu Yuyam Vai Dharmarajasya Yadi Nirdeshakarinah Brutadharmasya Nastatvam Yachadharmasya Lakshanam. Shri Vishnu Dutaha Uchuhu. The blessed messengers of Lord Vishnu spoke, You yam, all of you, why? Indeed, Dharma Rajasya, of King Yamaraj who knows the religious principles, Yadi, if, Nirdesha Karinaha, order carriers, Bruta, just speak, Dharmasya, of religious principles, Naha, unto us, Tatvam, the truth, Yat, that which, Cha, also, Adharmasya, of impious activities, Lakshanam, symptoms. So, Vishnu Dutas are testing Same way, outside people will test devotees when they say, I'm representing uh, Prabhupada. Even our one, uh, this one, in Srila Prabhupada's ever well wisher video, we see. That Srinathji Prabhu or Srinathji Prabhu's father, N.D. Desai was his previous name. He used to test Prabhupada by checking whether Prabhupada was lusty, Prabhupada was greedy, like that. So, outsiders, in what way they will test the devotees? They will test in terms of not just our knowledge, in terms of our behavior, in terms of our dealings with the world, like that. So sometimes they may allure us with money, with some flattery words, some position, etc. Uh, or sometimes they may test about our convictions, about our knowledge of the scriptures, etc. So here, Yamadutas are testing, Yamadutas were tested by Vishnu Dutas about their knowledge. And they're asked, can you, in the translation we see, the blessed messengers of Lord Vishnu, the Vishnu Dutas said, if you are actually servants of Yamaraj, you must explain to us the meaning of religious principles and the symptoms of irreligion. So, both religion and irreligion one should know. Because if one wants to know what is light, one should also know what is darkness, like that. Both go hand in hand. One will be able to appreciate light better when one knows what is darkness, like that. So, that way, they're asked about both. Purport. The enquiry by the Vishnudutas to the Yamadutas is most important. A servant must know the instructions of his master. The servants of Yamaraj claim to be carrying out his orders, and therefore the Vishnudutas very intelligently asked them to explain the symptoms of religious and irreligious principles. Same way, we also sometimes may be asked uh, questions like this. So we have to again and again revisit and read what is the desires of Srila Prabhupada, what did Prabhupada emphasize, etc. Otherwise, we may say, I'm follower of Prabhupada, but we may concoct our own system of religion, right? So they are intelligently asked to explain the symptoms of religion and irreligious principles. A Vaishnava knows these principles perfectly well because he is well acquainted with the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord says, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mahamekam Sharanam Braja. Give up all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. Therefore, surrender unto the personality of Godhead is the actual principle of religion. Those who have surrendered to the principles of material nature instead of Krishna are all impious, regardless of their material position. Unaware of the principles of religion, they do not surrender to Krishna, and therefore they are considered sinful rascals, lowest of men, and fools bereft of all knowledge, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.15 by Krishna. Namam dushkritano mooda prapadyante naradama maya apahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. So there are four kinds of miscreants. Who are they? First is dushkriti. 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 Kriti means meritorious activity. Dushkriti means very great meritorious activity in the wrong direction. Namam dushkritino moodaha. The first category is this one. Mooda, then prapadyante naradama. The miscreants. First category is dushkriti, miscreants. Then moodaha, foolish people. And naradama. Naradama means the lowest of the mankind. Actually, these are the four categories. First is moodaha, foolish people. And naradamaha. Naradamaha means lowest of the mankind. Then maya apahrita jnana. They appear very knowledgeable, big degrees will be there, but their intelligence is stolen away by Maya, like that. So, whose knowledge is stolen away by Maya. And the last one is Asuram Bhavam, who partake in the atheistic nature of the demons. They do not surrender unto Krishna that way. So, all these four, Mudaha, uh, Mudaha means what? Foolish, but they are Dushkriti. Dushkriti now means they are foolish, but most of the time, Prabhupada says it is better to be a lazy fool rather than an active fool. Hmm? Active fool is more dangerous because, first of all, he is foolish. Whatever he does will be wrong. And on top, he is highly active. So every moment he will keep creating blunder only, like that. So that is the first category. People work very hard day and night and only invite suffering into their lives and invent things for suffering of others, like that. Mudaha, foolish, like the donkey carrying uh, huge loads of luggage for some small enjoyment, like that. So that way, Mudaha. And Naradamaha. Who is Naradama? Who is lowest of the mankind. Why he is called lowest of mankind? Because he does not know what is Shreyas and what is Preyas. Shreyas means long term, Preyas means short term. And he considers short term benefits to be all in all, immediate enjoyment, he looks. And Maya apahrita jnana. He his intelligence is stolen away by Maya. And Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha. The word Asura comes from Asu Ramante. Those who desire instant sense pleasure. They are Asuram Bhavam Ashrita. So they feel, what is this nonsense? Doing all tapasya, controlling all the senses, four regulative principles. No, they will come up with a new theory. They will say, no, Sambhog se Samadhi, like that. There is one organization which says, Sambhog se Samadhi. That means by indulging more and more into material enjoyment, one eventually loses taste for material enjoyment, like that. One becomes in the state of samadhi, like that. Which is completely against what Krishna has spoken in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying that this lust, trying to satisfy it, is like pouring ghee on fire. The ghee poured will only increase the fire, it will not extinguish it. But Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha, they will propose such theories where they want instant pleasure and they convince people also that this is also spiritual, like that. So those people do not surrender to Krishna. One who has not surrendered to Krishna does not know the true principle of religion. Otherwise, he would have surrendered. The question posed by Vishnudutas was very suitable. One who represents someone else must fully know the person's mission. The devotees in Krishna consciousness movement must therefore be fully aware of the mission of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, otherwise, they will be considered foolish. All devotees, especially preachers, must know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness so as not to be embarrassed and insulted when they preach. So, Prabhupada is asking us to read, discuss from his books and hear his classes and all the acharyas classes and literature so that we are properly aware of principles of Krishna consciousness. So in the lectures, Prabhupada is speaking many other things. What is dharma? Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Dharma means the laws of God, like that. And dharma is applicable only in human society, not in animal society. Because animals act on instinct. We have the extra intelligence. But The unfortunate situation in the Kali Yuga is with that extra intelligence, people are simply doing the same activities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Like that. The uncivilized man in the jungle, he does not know how to prepare nice preparations. But we are civilized men. Why should we also eat like dogs and tigers? Like that, Prabhupada is asking. Okay. And uh, Dharma, although it is words of God, the Chaitanya Charitamrita also says this verse is actually from the Mahabharata. This Dharma is very difficult to be understood. Why? Because of this. Tarko apratishtaha shutayo vibhinna. Uh, नासा वृषिर यस्य मताम न भिन्नम धर्मस्य तत्वम निहितं गुहायम महाजनो येन गतस्स पंथाः. It said dry arguments, tarko, apratishtaha, apratishtaha, are inconclusive. Shutayo vibhinnaha. Mahaprabhu continued, dry arguments are inconclusive. A great person whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Muni means you should come up with your own theory, like that. Nasa rishir yasya matamna binnam, like that. Simply by studying Vedas, Shrutayo Vibhinnaha, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. Then how to understand if it is so difficult? Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya. It is hidden in the heart of the devotee. Mahajana ena gatassa panta. So just follow in the footsteps of the devotees, like that. Even in this purport, Prabhupada is saying same thing, that a Vaishnava is well acquainted with the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because it is hidden in the heart of the devotee. And who is seated in the heart of the devotee? Lord as Paramatma. And when the devotee is sincere, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Yena Mam Upayantite. He gives the intelligence. And therefore, we simply have to follow in the footsteps of the Mahajanas. Like that. So, that is what is mentioned here. So, Dharma, the best way to know Dharma is by following in the footsteps of Mahajanas. And Prabhupada was mentioning in the lecture how it is important to study knowledge and ignorance side by side. Uh, Same way Prabhupada was saying, if you know Father, you should also know the Son. Or if you know the Son, you should also know the Father. And many religions say, I am the Son of God, but they don't know much about the Father. So we should also know about the Father of uh, Father, like that. And Krishna says, Aham bija pradapitaha. I am the seed giving Father, of whom sarva yonishu, of all people, like that. So, complete knowledge means knowing about the devotees or the messengers of God and the Supreme Lord also. Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Idam Vijnatam Bhavati. Once we know Krishna, we know everybody else. And Prabhupada is saying, 1 minute. Prabhupada is mentioning here that how unfortunate it is that Krishna himself is directly coming and saying, here I am, Krishna, see my form, I have a flute in my hand, I'm very much fond of cows, but still we don't take his instruction, like that. So, and Prabhupada is also saying another definition, Vedo pranihito dharmaha. Dharma you cannot create. It is directly the words of God or Veda. the original knowledge. And where did this original knowledge come from? From the time of creation itself, it was there and it was given to Brahma. How? Through the heart to heart transmission from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Veda is also called Apaurushaya. It is not manufactured. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. So, Krishna, in the form of Paramatma, is there as a Chaitya Guru, and he manifests externally also as a Guru. And in both ways, Krishna is helping us to understand him like that. And Prabhupada is also saying, how long does it take for one to become a devotee? 1 second. If we simply accept Vasudeva Ukta Karinaha, oh Vasudeva, whatever you say, I shall follow. Immediately we become a devotee. And as soon as we deny, immediately we are under Maya. And especially in this age, we are Manda, Sumanda Matayo. We are all very bad and always in ignorance or sometimes in passion. Therefore, we are unable to surrender to Krishna like that. So, see, when we are in Tamoguna, we are like animals. When we are in Rajoguna, we are karmis or fruitive workers. And Jnani means Sattva Guna, like that. And Prabhupada is saying, what is the surrender the gopis had? Somebody was lying with her husband, somebody was engaged in kitchen, somebody was taking care of children. But the moment Krishna called, immediately they left everything and came. So, in one moment, they gave up and they surrendered to Krishna. So, this is transcendental. Transcendental consciousness, transcendental platform. To think of Krishna always like that. And uh, Krishna, however, does not force us to surrender. He gives us free will. Yata ichasi tata kuru. As a devotee, we should be intelligent to understand what Krishna wants and follow that. So Prabhupada was mentioning that. So now the last sloka. Katam svid driyate dandaha किं वास्य स्थानमीप्सितं दण्ड्या किं कारिणः सर्वे आहोस्वित् कतिचिन्नृणाम्. Translation. What is the process of punishing others? Who are the actual candidates for punishment? Are all karmis engaged in fruitive activities punishable, or only some of them? Purport. One who has the power to punish others should not punish everyone. There are innumerable living entities, the majority of whom are in the spiritual world. Nitya Mukta. We know that 99% of the population is in the spiritual world. Only 1% is in the material world. And for that 1%, 25% of the entire creation is kept. So 3/4 is spiritual world, 1/4 is material world, and in this 1/4, around 1% of the population are there. So most of them are Nitya Mukta. So there is no question of punishment for them. There is no question of judging these liberated living entities. And in the entangled living entities, many of them who are in animal species, etc., they also don't have consciousness. So it's only a small percentage, only a small fraction of living entities, perhaps 1/4, are in the material world. 1/4, Prabhupada is saying. Okay, and major portion of the living entities in the material world, out of the 84 lakh species, Prabhupada is saying here, 80 lakhs of them are lower than human beings. That means they don't have developed consciousness of discrimination, what is right, what is wrong. So they are also not punishable. For under the laws of material nature, they are automatically evolving. Human beings who are advanced in consciousness are responsible, but not all of them are punishable. Those engaged in advanced pious activities are beyond punishment. Only those who engage in sinful activities are punishable. Therefore, the Yamadutas particularly inquired about who is punishable and why Yamaraja designated has been designated to discriminate between who is punishable and who is not. How is one to be judged? What is the basic principle of authority? These are the questions raised by Vishnu Dutas. So we see even in case of Manduka Muni, once felt Yamaraj himself made a small judgmental error like that, and he was cursed to become Vidura because Yamaraj saw that Manduka Muni, when he was a small child, he didn't have enough developed consciousness, um, and therefore he was trying to pierce the eye of an ant, and he troubled them. So then later on, Manduka Muni, for no mistake of his, was wrongly judged that he stole something of the king's property. He was about to be sentenced to death, and when he was about to be sentenced, he was released because they understood he was innocent. But he had to go through a lot of mental torture. So then Manduka Muni went and asked Yamaraj, why was I put into so much difficulty? Yamaraj said that when you were a child, you did this mistake. Manduka Muni said, a child, what will the child know? How can you punish a child for that? Because as Dharmaraj, you yourself got confused and unnecessarily inflicted suffering on me. I curse you to become a Dasi Putra, like that. And then he comes as Vidura. So it's very intricate that who is punishable, who is not punishable, like that. But practical lesson for us is uh, devotees, we are blessed with the topmost knowledge of what is right, what is wrong. So the expectation on the devotees is very high. Any mistake that we do, certainly, Lord may uh, pardon also, but generally, a person with all knowledge, when he does a mistake, the punishment is usually a little uh, intense, because with all knowledge he's still committing a mistake, like that. So we can pray to the Supreme Lord that and to the acharyas that we constantly take shelter of their instructions, and with the sword of knowledge cut off the ignorance. Otherwise we will uh, uh, it is mentioned here in the purport. Yes, of course, Lord is kind. Devotees who chant God's names, etc., they are very this one. But one of the offenses is that I will go on committing sinful activities, and all my spiritual chanting, etc., will help me to counteract all the sufferings or avoid all sufferings. So that's a offense actually. So we should be very careful that we don't mm, uh, fall under any wrong activities. Take shelter of Krishna. Maya is very powerful. Prabhupada often says that only fear is that my devotees are not enough fearful of Maya. So we should pray to Krishna that let me have a healthy fear of Maya, and constantly take shelter of you, and make use of the wonderful sublime knowledge given to us through Srila Prabhupada and all acharyas. So I think this I will conclude. Please forgive me if I spoke something beyond my realization. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. A quick summary of, a few points you just noted down. So you talked about how we understand the mood of a spiritual master. which actually comes even by his, you don't have to wait for specific instructions. It comes through his class and his teachings, and his mood is very easily understood. You gave the three categories of disciples, whether it's advanced or the mediocre or the lower level of the, disciples. You talked about having a sound understanding of Krishna consciousness is very important. It's also required to clarify to others, and this all happens by reading the Acharya's books. And basically, should be for clarifying the doubts and clears. We also should be confident before we go and preach to others. That's very good point. And you also talked about how the outside people will test devotees. So you were talking in terms of the behavior, knowledge, conviction, and everything. Very important to see there. And the second shloka, you talked about the how you surrender unto the supreme personality of Godhead, which is the purpose of all the religion. And there are different kinds of people, four kinds of people who do not surrender to Krishna. And we must make sure we are not in this category in any case. So that's very important to know as well. And it also helps in our preaching when we use these. You talked about dharma in that particular second shloka, which you said is hidden in the heart of devotees, especially the Mahajanas. So we simply follow them, and that's the best way to make sure we are on the right track of following the dharma as such. And you also talk about how quickly one can become a devotee. Just takes a second, through Prabhupada says. So that's a wonderful point, which you again covered that. And having taken a human form, the last one you're talking about, having taken a human form, it is actually those who are actually punishable. If you see amongst the entire lot who are eligible for even to get a punishment, and then that also you said it's not devotees. Basically, it's only those who have advanced realization, not even qualified for that, and even the animals and subhuman species are not eligible. So, which means there's only a smaller strata of people who are actually eligible for this. So as a devotee, we already know what is right, what is wrong. So it's very important to make sure we are in the right side of it, and we should take shelter of the instructions of our acharyas. I mean, that's what I just noted down over here, and it's also important that um, that we have complete faith in the spiritual master, and we undertake all of our and automatic things will be revealed. We should understand the fortune which we have, having taken this human form and then being a devotee as well. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful class. Lot of points you covered in this. I'll just open the lines for devotees to share their reflections or ask any questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare
Thank you for the
Krishna.
wonderful class, Prabhu. As we are doing now book distribution on this Vaikuntha Ekadashi, can you just give me some few points which I can tell the persons who are asking me questions? Just a summary of what can, so that I'll be facing the public and I'll be distributing the books and to answer their questions. A few salient points, if you can just tell, it will be useful, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, depends. Mainly, first we pray to Prabhupada before we go. We can uh, remember at least the introduction. Mein Prabhupada is speaking that Bhagavad Gita mainly covers these five things. Uh, Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, Jiva, the living entity, then Prakriti, material nature, how it is acting and influencing the living entity. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, the influence of time, and Karma. So, what is Nishiddha Karma? What is uh, Akarma? What is just Karma? Like that. So, at least these basic things we can uh, have, and maybe a summary of in each chapter what is the main thing that Krishna says. Like 8th chapter, 12th chapter, Arjuna is asking a question whether God is personal or impersonal. Many times, many of them have a doubt. And how Arjuna is asking which is more better uh, to focus and attain the Supreme Lord, to consider him as person or impersonal, like that. So, this is a common doubt many spiritual seekers have. They feel, how can God be a person? Because God is all pervading. If he is all pervading, then he cannot be a person, because person means he will be limited. within a room like that. They think like that, but they don't understand that God is not a person like us. Even uh, in this world, one simple example we can say, let us say I have a piece of paper and I put a partition like this in between. If there is one ant crawling on this side, another ant crawling on this side, the two ants will not be able to see each other because an ant has a two-dimensional vision. Hmm. The partition prevents the ant from seeing each other. But me being in a higher dimensional existence, my vision is three dimension. Although there is this partition, this partition is not limiting my vision. I am still able to see both of them. And God, what to speak of God? God is beyond all these dimensions. He is the highest dimension. So even if he has a personal form, in no way is all of these small walls going to anyway partition him and prevent him from seeing and knowing things throughout the world like that. So like this, mainly every chapter maybe can say, mm, speak on one or two themes. Like in the 12th chapter, Krishna is speaking, Arjuna is asking that question and beginning. Then 8th chapter, uh, what happens at the time of death? How is our next destination defined? Like that. So, like that, each chapter maybe we can pick up one or two points and maybe explain to them, saying uh, that these all are there. Would you like to understand in detail about the book? Then they may become curious. They may want to take the book. Then, seventh chapter says how one can uh, always have a vision of Krishna. So we have so many busy things in this world. We say there is no time to come to temple. Still, in our day-to-day life, how we can think of Krishna. While drinking water, how we can remember Krishna. By looking at sun, how we can remember Krishna. By looking at your office colleague who is very smart, how you can remember Krishna. So that is mentioned in the seventh chapter. So saying all this, a person may feel inspired. Oh, really? In spite of my busy schedule, still I can see and remember Krishna sitting in office, looking at sun. I would like to know more like that. So, like that, each chapter say we can pick up one key point, which and then explain. It may motivate the person to pick up the book. This is my humble uh, understanding.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat, Prabhu.
Oh, you said about ISKCON principles and all that. Should we tell them elaborate, or we say basically we have to follow four principles, regulatory
No,
principles?
for newcomers, we need not tell all this. Only if they ask, uh, uh, if they ask, why don't you eat onion garlic? What is wrong? Why you should not take meat? Then we should be able to uh, counteract. For newcomers, we just say, just add Krishna into your life. That's all. We don't even have to say anything. What just like a child, when the child is very young, if you remove the toy, the child will cry. But as the child matures, when the child has a higher understanding and purpose in life, then even if you ask him to give up the toy, the child won't even mind. So now they are all coming, they are like uh, very attached to things. And if we say don't, they may give up Krishna rather than giving up meat eating or others. So we just say, please read Bhagavad Gita like that. But if they ask us why we should not eat onion, why you don't eat garlic, like that, and then we should be able to. Some of them will be more like a challenging mood. They'll come and ask, why only Krishna? Why not Ganesha? Why not Kartikeya? What is harm if I worship them? So then we should tell them that yes, demigods are also servants of God. We can give them one simple example. Suppose we are the son of a millionaire father. Now I can ask money either from the father directly, or I can also go to the accountant and sign a voucher and take money, because account, both ways I can, and which is easy actually going to the accountant and asking is easy, because accountant is not going to cross question. If he cross questions, the son will immediately say, this is none of your business, it's my father's money, like that. So going to accountant and asking is more easy, and you may get the money quickly also, but there is a chance that you may misuse the money. But when you go to the father, father will ask, where are you going? Why do you want money? Whom are you going with? Whether all are good friends. And very carefully, once he's sure that you're not going to misuse, then only he gives. So that is why we recommend that you worship. Even if you have material desires, you worship Krishna only, because it is like going and asking father for money. Demigods are just appointed. God says, anyone who is not interested in me, they can come to you, and from your department you can. But there is always a chance that that person may fall prey, like that. So, in a nice way, without hurting their sentiments on the demigods and belittling the demigod, we can say it is more safe. And then we can say, um, imagine you are that father, and you have a child, and if the child doesn't come to you for asking, and the child bypasses you and asks somebody else, especially mothers and all, no, they feel a lot, even father also, that why my child is not coming to me. He's usually in families it happens. Sometimes the mother is little strict, so child will not come to mother, child will go to grandmother and ask. Then the mother feels bad, a child could have asked me, like that. So as a parent, we ourselves want children to come to us and ask. So Krishna also, being the Supreme Lord, has some feelings. So he also wants, I am there to give you the best. You come and ask me directly. So like that, we give a very positive outlook about demigod worship. You go to Krishna, Krishna will be more happy, like that.
Some basic books for them to read.
Hmm.
Prabhupada books, one or two to suggest, Prabhu.
I would say that On the Way to Krishna, Matchless Gifts, Raja Vidya, even Laws of Nature. Laws of Nature little uh, talks more about punishments and etc. So based on, but these books are good to start with. Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers also is good book that they can read.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Dandavad.
Arrange. I think it is 8:15, no? Probably, shall we?
Yes, Prabhu. I think that is all the devotees are in the mood of book distribution right now, so it's very nice. All the questions coming from there. But I just want to share one thing, Prabhu. I think of late when you have it so many classes and reading so many things, I think the first thing is we are in the mood of what do you call the compassion for everybody to connect somehow to Krishna is very important. If we demonstrate ourselves to be happy, not otherwise, not artificially, but I'm just saying there's a genuine concern, and if we can understand what their what would they actually look for, happiness or whatever we put that, it'll be an easy way of approaching, because several questions will be addressed to that itself. It's more like out of concern and care, and I'll say more of care and concern we are going to them than than in the mood of we are trying to have a target and achieve that. Then it'll be looking like a pushing. The pushing over there will look like, oh, you just want to sell something. It's not. We actually, this book costs nothing. I mean, it costs nothing for what they're trying to, what they're going to get in their overall development. I think that's also very important too. So a lot of things about how we approach is very important than even to go and start with that questioning. And as you said rightly, it's always better not to be agitative or trying to say it's bad, this is bad and this is good. Rather, it's all a realization. I think we should go back to our stage when we started, how we were initially. If we reflect few minutes on that, we will know exactly what to how to start that entire conversation. That'll be very nice. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. I think it was a very wonderful sharing today, and thank you for all the questions, devotees. So, with this, we will just end today's session. Tomorrow we'll have the live class from the temple. So we'll just end with the Vaishnava Pranam Prabhu.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। कृष्ण।
Jai.